Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, a.k.a. PD Beats.
Hello and welcome to the Popternative podcast here on Blab. I'm your host, Peter Remoliotis. On Twitter, I go as PD Beats. This is the podcast where we discuss and have digital dialogues from the worlds of social media, sports, and pop culture. Today, I'm joined by three fantastic guests. It's going to be a great show. Let's go around quickly. We have sports editor of Uproxx, Pete Blackburn.
How's it going?
Pretty good. Thank you for joining us. We have social media coordinator for the Cleveland Cavaliers in the NBA, Courtney Shilling.
Hey, guys.
And we have creative and digital lead for the University of Michigan Athletics, Brian Wagner.
What's up, guys?
So thank you all for joining the show. So what we do on Popternative before we get into, the discussions is I like giving you guys the floor to kind of give a little bio about yourselves. So let's start with Courtney. Just tell us about yourself, your work with the Cavaliers.
Hey, so I'm Courtney. I've worked for the Cavaliers for a little over a year now. I started just a couple months after LeBron came back, so that was a great time to join the squad. I am an alum of The Ohio State University, so I think it's fun that we have a Michigan fan here.
Yeah.
Nice little early preview to the game coming up next weekend.
Perfect. Pete, what about you?
I am sports editor for Uproxx, as you said. I went to Endicott College, and it's a small college in Beverly, around Boston. And I basically came up through the interwebs. I've never had like a quote-unquote real job. So I've been sports blogging for 3 or 4 years and ended up where I am now and pretty happy about it. So
perfect. Brian, what about you?
I was born in a small town called Midland, Texas, Midland, Odessa, which is the birthplace of Friday Night Lights. And I was actually born in August of that season. Ended up going to a couple of those games when I was, weeks old. Kind of got into sports right away right then. Grew up in Los Angeles. I moved out there when I was 10 years old. Went to USC for undergrad. Worked with the football team while I was there. Did a bunch of internships and kind of knew I wanted to work in sports. And during that time, I created a blog as a student manager, showing people my perspective. We traveled with the team. We set up equipment. We set up the locker room before games. And I just shared photos of that. This was kind of before teams did that as the norm. And I quickly realized a ton of people want to do that, want to see that. Mm-hmm. And I realized at that point, I think working in sports and in this social media digital world would be a great fit for me. Ended up working at the University of Washington for a couple of years, great experience, and then just moved out to Michigan over the summer in July. So been here for just a few months and bracing for my first real winter of my life.
Great. Well, thank you guys for the introductions. And again, thank you for coming. I think that the first topic we're going to, break the ice with on Popternative before, me getting into the specific questions I have for all three of you, because yes, I do have specific questions and they might be very tricky questions. So we're pairing you guys. But so one thing that I've been talking about lately, I'm writing up a couple of pieces about, I've been talking about a lot about fan bloggers. So I'm talking about, the big fans that get, huge followings from social media that are not necessarily, affiliated with any, sports team, professional sports team, or, university teams, Brian, in your case. But, they're establishing a big following. So I just wanted, I think it was a suitable topic for us just to discuss. And Pete, I know hockey is your wheelhouse. I'm really into hockey as well. And, there are so many accounts. I was just talking to my friend Kyle from the Ducks about, the Ducks and Pucks blog and podcast. That's about 16,000 followers right there. They're not affiliated or associated at all. So what do you think What do you think with time and the involvement? How do you guys, as people, who like sports editor Uproxx, Courtney with the Cavs, and Brian, how do you guys, maybe use these big fan blogs to kind of help you, maybe with your content or, the interactions and engagements you have with them? So Pete, what about you? Because I often see you're pretty, active on social media.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, the fan blogs are kind of, my specialty. I've worked with a few Bruins blogs because I'm a huge Bruins fan. And I mean, to me, that's the go-to place because I'm the kind of person who has like really strong opinions, and like I've been offered a job like running social media for an NHL team, and I didn't want to take it because that's a job that I'm going to get fired from really fast because I have super strong opinions, and I let my emotions get the best of me a lot of the time. And I mean, I feel like that's the perfect place for like a fan blog, like fan Twitter account, stuff like that. Like people, like other fans love that when they see like the passion and stuff like that. When they're angry, they want to see other people are angry and things like that. So that's kind of my area that I like to stick to is like the fan blogs. And I mean, with that, you have a lot more freedom too. You can write whatever you want pretty much. And that's a place I love.
But Courtney, social media has definitely given these fan blogs a lot more power. Are there any specific, Cleveland Cavaliers or Cleveland sports-based blogs that, are not associated with a team that you follow closely?
Absolutely. There are a ton of awesome Cavs blogs, and I think they really came to fruition actually when the team was not as good after LeBron left. Because you could really see the people that are really passionate about the team itself, and they would have fun with lesser-known players like Smarto Samuels and guys like that. And one of them, Fear the Sword. They have a lot of personality, and Waiting for Next Year is another one. And most of them now, actually, both when I was with the Cleveland Indians and with the Cavs now, are credentialed through our media relations department. So they've sort of crossed over the barrier maybe of even being a fan blogger to sort of being a little bit more established, and that they are credentialed. They don't necessarily have the access that our usual beat writers have, but, I think that our organizations really value what these fans have to say, and like seeing a lot of times they get unique content and ideas that beat writers maybe aren't allowed to cover or don't want to. So, yeah.
Brian, what about you? More like the college sports spectrum of it.
Yeah, really similar deal with Courtney. I think in the last few years, we've obviously seen an uptick in a lot more coverage, less just straight newspapers. And especially being in a college campus, there's a lot of student reporters who write for our, across the board, write for their school newspaper, who get some solid access. But really in general, I think the uptick of these bloggers, and whether they're super credentialed, like Courtney was saying, and kind of have access like everyone else, or some of the people who can kind of just do it from home, I think it all elevates your brand, and they kind of keep the social media conversation going. We try to put out a lot of content out there, but we're not doing it all. And when we do something, it's the official word. They can actually create conversation and throw out other previews or things that could happen that we can't really talk about. So I think really the combination of us being on social media, but also these bloggers and that type, it really kind of helps create a whole social conversation around your sport, your program, whatever.
Because, football is the Michigan University of Michigan football page is absolutely rocking the Twitter page. There's so many followers there. So on game days, there's got to be so many different streams coming in, whether it's a fan blog, whether it's a beat reporter. It must be crazy to keep up with, right?
Yeah, I kind of manage all my stuff on TweetDeck for Twitter and game days. And at first, coming into it thinking, oh, we can try to manage it. And game day, it's game over. I mean, with the hashtag Go Blue, the game hashtag, the mentions, it is so hard to keep up with. We have just a person trying to answer at least the legitimate questions for game day, where to watch it, if they're at the stadium, where can I get these concessions. But where was I going with that?
There's a lot of different streams, and it's kind of like boom, game day.
You try to manage it, but it is really difficult. In Michigan, I got lucky walking into it over the summer. I mean, the account is already super high following. We've built it a little bit here and there, but I kind of got blessed with that. I didn't have to do the heavy lifting.
No, absolutely. Pete, for a lot of people who, don't follow you on Twitter, you do have a pretty decent following. So I just wanted to ask you about what you said in the beginning about how, you're very opinionative. Do you not find, though, that because, you're able to maintain such a consistent amount of followers that, your followers maybe enjoy that kind of edgy, opinionative content that you pump out for them?
I mean, I've certainly lost a lot of followers over the years. But that doesn't really bother me. It fluctuates. I mean, I see a lot of people who will follow me and then they'll unfollow me within a couple of days. And I mean, that's fine. You jump on board, and then if you don't like what you don't like the ride, then hop off. It's fine. But I know that the people who do follow me, I think that I mean, that's what they come to expect at this point. So, I mean, I'm okay with it. I realize that I mean, I'd rather some people feel strongly about me either way than feel nothing at all towards me, whether they hate me or they like me. So I'm fine with it. So.
And by the way, Brian and Courtney, one of Pete's tweets was once featured on an episode of Tosh.0. Which I think
awesome.
Well, was it on the episode, or was it just kind of like a web? Because I know I saw that I did research on it, and there's just or was that, I don't know, is that Photoshop?
I don't know if it was Tosh.0. I don't know if it was that. I know that there was I know At Midnight was one of them.
I think it was Tosh.0.
Do you remember?
The At Midnight one was a video I took of Sarah Jessica Parker making a bitch face at Tom Hanks at a Rangers game. And so that was the one on At Midnight, but I don't know if it's the same one that Pete's talking about. Because I'm
trying to, unless maybe I'm thinking of the At Midnight one. I thought I swore, but I think it was maybe about Sarah Jessica Parker. Maybe I'm totally wrong. Maybe both those hosts look very similar.
It could be. I mean, there's certain stuff that gets around, and I don't even know about it until a long time.
The one in your cover photo, was that At Midnight?
Yeah, that's At Midnight.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
I'm gonna stop for a second. That microphone is peerless. I mean, flawless. It sound. Really
I do podcast. I do a couple podcasts on my own, so we sank some money into it. It actually wasn't really that expensive. It was $10-15, but I'm very pleased with it.
I feel like I have Beats by Dre headphones on right now.
I'm looking to get a new podcast as well. Christmas Snap Your Fingers, Christmas around the corner. So I'm hoping that I get one of those, because a lot of people have been, talking to me about getting a podcast mic. So I don't know if they're kind of trying to nicely say that it doesn't sound good. The way I have the setup now, but they're linking me, hey, you gotta check out this mic and this mic. So thank you all for, masquerading behind the fact that you're telling me that my current setup isn't good. I appreciate it. But Courtney, me and you have been, going back and forth on social media for a couple of months now. Discussing different things. And one thing we discussed, is of course, with Cleveland Cavaliers, there's a player named LeBron James on your basketball team.
Who is it?
Yeah, I think I've heard of him once. I'm not really sure who he is, but LeBron James, a lot of people, use the greatest of all time or greatest. He gets a lot of credibility for his unbelievable play. Also being in movies he was just in Trainwreck. That will bring a lot of buzz to his feeds, but it will also bring a lot of buzz to your feeds. But it's important to know that, you are covering the Cleveland Cavaliers. You're not covering the Cleveland LeBrons. So it's important for you to kind of, give a balance, and it's not only about LeBron, it's about other players. How do you balance that? What goes through, what are challenges that come? Are there any challenges or obstacles when it comes to that? Like, how do you manage that?
So I think organizationally, I don't know if you've heard this before, but all for one for all is our saying, our slogan. And we take that to heart when it comes to featuring our players, whether it's in marketing, social media, everything. Because it's also a very flat organization from top to bottom, from ownership down to, our part-time members. If anyone that ever has like a question, or they can email our owner, like that's how flat our organization is, which is very unique. Mm-hmm. But that's just another example of how we view ourselves, and that's the viewpoint I take with social media. Try to keep a balance between different players. LeBron does tend to have more highlights and things, more photos on Getty, things like that. So sometimes it's not completely avoidable, but and we of course want to highlight just last night? Feels like forever ago. He just passed Jerry West. So that was a huge moment. Of course, we're going to highlight that. But LeBron himself, he's a team guy. So it really makes it easy to do, because he likes highlighting those other guys too, and pointing out the things that they're doing. Whether it was last year during the finals when Dellavedova had a great game and he talked about how he'd do anything for him, Yeah. So I think sometimes I look at other teams that have star players, and I'm surprised by how much they focus on them almost. But then again, I know that for them, they probably maybe value that engagement they're going to get over trying to have more of a balance.
Yeah, because I could definitely see that being an issue. And, with the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League, Pete, you'll understand this, but, when I first joined the league, it was all about Nathan McKinnon and Jonathan Drouin. So that was becoming an issue where there happened to be just two guys in the Halifax Mooseheads that had more, buzz versus other players. And, it was challenging to, create and generate ideas to, get smaller players or smaller teams involved, because, I'm doing the whole league. So I can't, just obviously there are some teams that, are more active on social than others. But, it is tough. So I wanted to, bring that up. The last LeBron question, then we won't talk about that anymore. But does he ever retweet the Cleveland Cavaliers? Does that ever happen at all?
Yes, he does.
Does it blow up when it happens?
What was that?
Does it do the feeds blow up when it happens? Because there's a lot of followers, right?
It's definitely a little bit more of a push, but if we have really great content, I think it's going to spread no matter what. LeBron has a huge following.
I was just curious if he one time, just see something that you guys tweet and was like, yeah, I'll retweet that.
Oh, yeah. And we will go and let them know. If there is something that we want our players to share, we let them know and they share that. But it's actually pretty, we have so many diverse, unique personalities.
Oh. I think
that sounded not good.
Yeah, she knew that was coming. It's
like a horror movie.
What just happened? But
I don't know. I'm gonna give props because that was pretty.
Yeah, because her camera is still on, so I don't know what is.
That was a pretty epic sign off.
But Pete, you cover the Bruins a lot, correct? That's your main.
Yeah, I mean, using the term cover is using it pretty loosely, but I follow them, and I give commentary and stuff like that, and every once in a while I'll write something.
Do you ever have engagements with players in the Bruins or other players around the league?
I've never had any interactions with Bruins players, as far as I can remember. I think I've had a few back and forths with certain players on Twitter, but only good things. But no, I don't have too many interactions with players. It's mostly fans and a few teams, because the team accounts around the NHL they're trying to be more fun, and So
Yeah.
I've gone back and forth with a few of those.
We've had a lot of those people that run the accounts on our shows, and we have. This is actually the question I have for Brian, because we had Kevin Wilson from the Detroit Red Wings on the show last week, and we were talking. This concept of following these college players, and then kind of creating content on the University of Michigan accounts while you're they graduated, now they're playing pro, right? It's pretty cool concept that you guys kind of have to follow some of the players, and do you ever make content? Because Dylan Larkin, right, Wolverines player, he's playing in the National Hockey League right now, right? So it's
I think first of all, so we have an interesting deal, especially compared to some of these pro accounts where we have 31 programs at Michigan. So just a variety of, every one of those has a Twitter account, Facebook. We're unleashing individual Instagram accounts for all of these channels now as well. And we have a team of SIDs who are kind of the PR people for each program. And they kind of handle the social media for individual accounts. So for men's cross country, they kind of handle the social. And I'm still kind of diving into this Michigan culture. And Dylan Larkin, I hear about him a lot. After I go through here for a year and those kids graduate, I'm going to feel that same connection with these kids that are doing great things, not just in pro sports, of course, but also doing great things in the professional world as well. But yeah, so our accounts do that, and I know Jeff, who is our SID for our hockey team, who hockey's a big deal here, probably our one of our top 3 sports. They're engaging with definitely our pro kids, and definitely with, I think Dylan, there's maybe another kid that's on the Red Wings as well from Michigan. I'm still.
Well, you had one player. You have Wierenski, who's playing now on your on the Wolverines, I believe. Yeah. He's a Columbus Blue Jackets first round pick. So and especially now with the World Juniors right around the corner, that's going to probably make some noise as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, be on the lookout for that as well, because the World Juniors is a tournament that will give those guys a lot of exposure as well. Now, breaking news: Courtney's laptop died, but now she's calling back in right now, so we could talk.
Oh my gosh. Here she comes.
Hello. Welcome back.
I'm alive.
Sign off. You were just like, no, and then just went black.
That was a great sign off.
I don't even know what happened, honestly.
Yeah, your thing didn't close. Your icon was still there. There was just no screen. It was really weird.
Really?
At one point then you just lost your icon, but it was still there.
Oh, my
At least
computer
it
just
saved the
totally
props
shut
we
off.
gave you.
It reminded me, do you guys see that MTV movie or see trailers for that MTV movie, Unfriended? You guys see that?
I remember those.
Heard about it, never saw it.
I think I've heard
Or
of it.
they're having a Skype chat and there's someone, there's a ghost in the Skype. And it just reminded me of that for a second.
Survived.
It was kind of scary. Okay. Corey, we were just talking about this concept of following, college athletes onto their pro careers. So, for example, in Cleveland Cavaliers, I'm sure you have a lot of interactions with the universities that current players used to play for, like back forth digital dialogues. Do you use that as a tool once in a while that you think is pretty cool for the fans to see as well? Where are they now type stuff?
Yeah, every year around March Madness, we go and we do a feature that goes on the guys' backgrounds, which is really fascinating, especially for the ones that are older that you don't even necessarily remember where they went. We do have a couple of guys that didn't go to college, but for the ones that did, we have a huge following. This is very random, but Joe Harris went to Virginia, and their fans are crazy. So he doesn't get a lot of minutes on the team, but he gets a lot of tweets, so you'd be surprised.
That's interesting. We have that too in our league too. So for example, Pete, like Halifax Mooseheads and a lot of the Maritimes teams in the Quebec Major Hockey League are the ones that are making a lot of noise all the time. And we actually have, our Canada-Russia series, game 2's tomorrow. So it's basically, you know, the Canadian Hockey League. We have 3 leagues. Every team puts an all-star team. Every league puts an all-star team together, and they play a Russian squad. So we have that, and you know, it's unbelievable. All the midget AAA teams, Pete, that like will retweet us all the time, and you know, interact with us. And it's like midget AAA, but they have like 5,000 followers. Like it's pretty cool. But they're kids, and they're a lot younger than, you know, the kids that we're covering in the World Juniors. You know, they're like 14, 15 years old, and there's like 5,000 followers. I think that's pretty interesting, and it's important in our world of social media that these little, like the little guys are getting a voice, right, Pete?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that could be like a good thing and a bad thing.
It could, yes, that is true.
If you're getting that much attention when you're 14, 15 years old, I mean, it could go either way. It's a little scary to think about.
What do you think about that, Brian?
Yeah,
This
I'm thinking
whole
the same
concept?
thing. If I was 15 years old, I mean, I didn't have that when I was 15.
Especially knowing like the stuff that some people say on Twitter, like sports fans just get like way too into it. Like if you're 14 or 15 years old and you're seeing Twitter eggs screaming at your team's Twitter handle, it's probably like a little intimidating.
Did Courtney leave again? Or do you guys see?
Yeah,
I think it happened.
Camera.
I don't see her. Oh,
There
She's
we
out.
go. Also,
you're back. Okay.
Guys?
Yeah. Are you still here?
Can you hear us?
You hear us?
We see you.
Oh, maybe it's a lag. Oh, she's gone.
that was like a two-way mirror. We could see her.
Weird.
We couldn't see us.
Okay, she's
Creepy stuff.
back.
The ghosts are after me.
Live broadcast. That's what it is. Pete, you say you do podcasts? Do you do your own podcast, or you're talking about you're like frequent guests on podcasts?
No, I do 2 podcasts where I'm like the co-host, and so this is actually like a podcast studio I'm in. We built it in my basement.
Nice.
That's cool.
I need that apparently.
Yeah, the equipment part is like cost us less than actually like putting all this crap on the walls and stuff.
Yeah.
So, we got like that's Wade Miley milking a cow. That's a picture
That's
of him.
awesome.
Podcasts are getting are still, you know, constantly popular, especially like in sports, and a lot of, you know, social media sports podcasts. Where do you see, you know, podcasts and, you know, digital broadcasting, and this is for the whole panel, where do you see it going in in 3-4 years? Do you see it kind of staying the same in terms of popularity, getting more popular, or, you know, maybe losing popularity? What do you think about that, Brian? This whole concept of podcasts.
I think it is still trending upwards. I have now, I live in Ann Arbor. I have like a song and a half commute to work, so I'm not on a train or anything where I can just download a bunch of podcasts and listen on my way to work. But sometimes when I'm in the office and I'm like, I've got an hour or two just to bang out some work, I just go on, you know, a Chris Yandel podcast and listen for an hour and listen to something. And I love it. I always listen to music, but sometimes that's a nice little break, and I can kind of learn something new while also just kind of doing work. And I wasn't always like that. I wasn't a huge maybe podcast fan until a year ago.
Yeah.
And I could see, especially for the commuter crowd, I think podcasts, I think Serial came out last year. I still see that kind of trending upwards for sure.
That's an awesome way to like refer to time on a commute, by the way. A song and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never heard that.
That was good. And you mentioned Chris Yandel. Chris Yandel is awesome. Like I had him on my. He's currently the only 2-time guest.
Wow.
On Popternative.
Big time.
Big time.
He was on the first episode. Actually, Courtney, I'm pretty sure you were supposed to be on the first ever episode of Popternative, and then you had a fantasy football draft.
I think I did. Priorities,
yeah. But Chris Yandel, I've been on his podcast too. He has a sports PR podcast, and he's the type of people I want to feature on Popternative, right? These people that are, you know, also on an academic level, like myself, studying and researching social media.
Yeah.
I think that's really important as well. There's so many cool things and so many cool concepts that like, have you guys ever heard of the term, like what we were talking about with fan bloggers, Pete? They're also called prosumers. Have you ever heard that term ever before?
Prosumers?
Prosumers. I've been talking. Yeah, I've been mentioning it to many people. No one's ever heard of it before. Have you guys heard of it? It's basically producer and consumer combined.
Okay, prosumer.
So it's basically
way too close to prosumo wrestler.
Prosumo.
They're gonna have a problem with that. The sumo community is not gonna like that.
It's a great imagery.
But this is what we were kind of talking about in the beginning, right? Courtney, with like these writers and these fan blogs, they're not only consuming content around social media, and around the Cleveland Cavaliers, they're also shaping, creating it. They're also producing. So it becomes this new type of fan that's a hybrid. That's not just strictly passive. They're active. They're live tweeting games. Yeah. Like it's a job, right, Pete? Like it's ridiculous the amount of people in the hockey world that are with their phones live tweeting games. They don't work for the hockey team. Like it's the passion, right? But they're putting in a lot of work, right, Pete?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, this might be a bias because I am obviously more geared toward hockey, but like I feel like hockey was like geared into Twitter like way before the other sports, or at least like ahead of the curve a little bit, and you're seeing it like catch up now.
Well, it was around the lockout. It was around it was the first lockout where it started being used a lot. I think it was like 06, 07 was when social media and NHL was effectively used.
Yeah, and it wasn't until like a few years ago where you had like the segmented hockey Twitter, baseball Twitter, NBA Twitter, and then like that's like an official thing now. If you say hockey Twitter, you certain names in the community who like don't have anything to do with a team or like an official organization. It's just crazy people who watch every game and they're always on Twitter making stupid comments and stuff like that. And people like what they put out there. And so like you have like these very unofficial people and it's not even just in hockey now. It's like you have these very unofficial people in basketball. You have the very unofficial people in baseball who are just like making names for themselves for being funny and adding witty commentary and stuff like that.
Like I said, sorry. No, continue, Courtney.
Here in Cleveland, if you search for each one of these hashtags, you'll actually find people that are all sort of, they're not always attacking each other, but like playfully aggressive. Browns Twitter versus Indians Twitter versus Cavs Twitter. It's amazing. Like, yeah, just if you're bored one day, just go search for it and you'll be amazed at how often people are talking about Indians Twitter versus Browns Twitter or Cavs Twitter. And they're not talking about our professional account. They're talking about all the crazy fans that are live tweeting everything. And yeah, it's fun.
Brian, what about you and all? Like, there's a lot of accounts to oversee with University of Michigan, right? The athletics. Like, there's the main athletics account, but there's all the sports, correct?
Yeah, so we have 31 programs. And
each
one of those has a Facebook account, a Twitter account. We're now unveiling a bunch of Instagram accounts for all those sports as well. And then we have we came on board in July, made a UMich Athletics Twitter account that wasn't there before, but we decided, we have a lot of department news when we signed our new contract with Nike or announced it. It's going to be effective in August next year. That's not just a sports-specific news. That is general athletics. That's a great example of kind of why we need an athletics account, but also to highlight some of the top-level information. Obviously, we've got a bunch of football fans, men's basketball, hockey fans. But there's a lot of people who are fans of Michigan athletics, might not follow men's cross country, but if you follow Michigan athletics and
you'll get the
cross country wins the Big Ten championship, you see that and you're going to be happy because you're proud to be a Michigan Wolverine.
Absolutely.
And I feel like that kind of is probably relevant to every other college program. Ohio State for sure.
No, absolutely. Georgia Tech, Cristiano was talking similar to stuff like that as well.
Yeah.
But the question I have for you is similar to what when Courtney and I were talking about LeBron. Football is a huge deal. At the University of Michigan. Do you ever have similar LeBron issues with like Coach Harborough? Because there's obviously going to be a lot of content around him, right? And a lot of mentions that have to do with him, and a lot of news about specifically him. It's about the athletes, but you have someone who was a coach in the NFL coming to coach university. That's going to generate a lot of noise, right, Brian?
Yeah, I mean, he's a big time character for sure, and he has created a whole Twitter presence. It's pretty remarkable what just kind of he can put out there. We kind of, especially he came in first day of fall practices, and said we're going into the submarines, we're going underground, and so we're not dealing a lot with him. He and his team are putting out just amazing stuff all the time, and kind of sharing the content that we're generating from football and athletics as well. But what we do, every time he goes up to speak to the media, he's got a great line or two. And so we highlight, not for the fun value, but just for the team. We highlight the top quotes for Monday's presser coming into the week and after the game as well.
Because I just thought about that, I know it's, focus on the athletes and the players. I just thought of Harborough, and I thought I had to, just ask that, because that's definitely something that comes up, as a creative digital lead. You got to take that into account, right? Because he's a big name.
Yeah, big name, and we've got a lot of great coaches in our program who have won national championships, and they're on Twitter as well and making the way. Sometimes it's a little tough for them to get started with it, but the ones that want to get it are finding some decent success with it, with their student athletes and people who want to follow their personality and kind of see just a different look than what is being provided from the individual accounts as well.
Yeah, for sure. This is a question, for Pete and Courtney. Do you think that there were, in professional sports, and you see it, we've seen a lot of confrontational tweets from accounts lately? There's the whole DeAndre Jordan incident with the Clippers and the Dallas Mavericks, and if we go back a little bit too, there was the whole issue with the Dallas Mavericks Houston Rockets, where the Houston Rockets tweeted out the gun and the horse emoji. Do you guys remember that?
Who could forget that?
Yeah, I remember that.
So, Pete, being in hockey too, you do see there are often those tweets that come out that are like, whoa, like I can't believe they said that, and then you'll have the mixed reviews. Some people are like, wow, that was awesome, or wow, that kind of pushed it, right? Where's the balance in that? Because you do want to be edgy, and I think there, to an extent, where you're not offending people. Edginess is something I think is an aspect of social media and sports. You want to kind of step out of the main crop, and you want to be different at times, right, Pete?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's. I mean, I know that a lot of NHL teams are trying to be fun and stuff like that, and trying to separate themselves from the pack. I think the LA Kings were one of the first ones to do it, and now a lot of teams are following suit. And I mean, yeah, it's like you don't want to just be like a robotic RSS feed on Twitter, because that doesn't encapsulate the community feel. But again, that's why I was talking about at the same time that the line is blurred between edgy and fun and inappropriate or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I do remember the Houston Rockets tweet and the fact that the guy got fired. And that's why at the beginning of the show, I was like, I'd 100% get fired from this job, because I didn't think that tweet was a big deal. I thought it was funny. And it's everybody's super sensitive on Twitter now, and I enjoy kind of pushing I wouldn't say like
pushing the envelope.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I mean, I wouldn't like say that because I don't like say like ridiculous things, but I do enjoy like being like kind of edgy and kind of funny and trying to do that. And I know
You're
like
very,
if I was
you're
running,
quick too. You're very quick. Like I'm a victim of Pete's, you know, very quick. Like Pete's very quick at capturing mistakes on social media.
oh yeah, like
yeah. QMJHL, he's caught me a few times.
I mean, I've made plenty of mistakes myself,
Yeah.
and it's like whenever that happens, it's like shit. If somebody else was like doing this like me, they would have just grabbed that and been like, "You're an idiot," ha ha. So if I was running I was running an official account, I would have to be super careful.
No, but
I did like a focus group for all my tweets and be like, should I send this?
Yeah.
Courtney, I don't know if I feel like, well, maybe I'll say one thing and then I'll ask Courtney a question. I think, Pete, you're so right because I feel like right now there's such a pressure maybe for social media people to, wow, you got to be edgy, you got to do all this crazy stuff. But man, we've seen it a few times this year where people maybe push the boundary a little bit or tweet from the wrong account, like the Texas Rangers incident, and they're fired the next day. And it's like, wow, we have a really risky job, I guess. But my other thing is don't be edgy just to be edgy.
Just to be edgy,
you know,
Yeah.
But so you had a great point about the focus group. I feel like so many tweets. I ask a few people like, whoa, what about this? What about this? Courtney, I'm just kind of wondering about your process and how you talk through with a few different people.
Yeah, so there are 3 of us that manage the Cavs accounts. So we naturally have a little group of us that talk things over anyway, whether it's risky or not. But we also have, for content that's planned, we generally send that through PR. For content in-game, you might, if I ever think that anything is questionable, definitely don't send it out and show it to somebody else first or something like that. I think everyone sort of has that radar where you're like, I don't know, I'm not sure if I should do this. So generally I do not send it. And then if it's something I think is really good content, I will run it by somebody else. Yeah. And then, that's sort of my process. Granted, last night's game, I worked it by myself at home. So, I didn't even have anybody to really run anything by. I could have emailed somebody, but
you have to trust your judgment.
Right. Yeah. And it's one of those things that I'm happy that I think I have a pretty good gauge now on where to be in social and our voice. And you are right with, I think people, they want to encourage all the teams to be edgy and be funny and all this stuff. But at the same time, people are so quick to shoot people down anytime something happens. Like, it's like, oh, you should push the envelope. But once you push it too far, you're done. Like, you should be fired.
You have to maintain brands too, right? There's brands that some organizations keep that they don't want to be funny or edgy at times. Like they want to maintain, their brand. But something funny that Pete mentioned, it's actually a funny story that I have to bring up. It was last year, I believe. Pete was mentioning, people are very sensitive on social media, but I think too, people are very quick, and there are situations where Pete taught me a lesson to not tweet out funny jokes from the QMJHL account because there was a kid on social media pretending that he got drafted in our league, but the draft happened a long time ago, so it was but there was a couple people that retweeted it and they had a lot of followers, so it got buzz. So then I tweeted at him as a joke, "Welcome to Q Nation," which is what we call it, right? But people thought I was serious. People thought I thought that this kid was joining our league. And Pete screenshotted it and put it on to his 14,000 followers, and it blew up and it was a thing. And I was like, oh man, but it's funny because I learned a lesson that day, Pete. So thank you.
You're welcome. I also think it's really, really funny whenever like there's like a controversial tweet from like a big team organization or something, and then somebody like responds like, "Oh, looks like an intern's getting fired." It's like like people really think that like these teams, these like $1 million franchises, $1 billion franchises, just put like a teenage kid, like a teenage intern, hand him like the keys to their Twitter account.
Yeah.
Maybe that was the case, right? When people were like, "What is Twitter in 2008?"
Yeah.
But people need to know that's not the case anymore.
Yeah,
I don't know who.
Like 5 people on Twitter and nobody cared what they had to say.
Yeah. I feel like over the last couple of years, those comments have significantly gone down. I feel like I used to see those a lot 3 years ago when I was doing the Indian social media, and now I almost never see them. So that's good.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because like we've seen it hit the news that social media managers are getting fired for dumb tweets.
Yeah, that's probably it.
Yeah, they are. Like there's not that much of a cushion anymore. I find like not that there's like a zero tolerance, but there are definitely a lot of warnings that will be said.
There are certain times where you're like, wow, that person needs to be fired for that. Like that was dumb. And then there are other times where you're like, well, they probably shouldn't have sent that, but they probably shouldn't lose their job either. Like the Houston Rockets one. Like if you take that guy off and suspend him for like a week or two, that's a perfect response.
Yeah.
Firing him for that is kind of.
I want to have him on the show too to talk about that, Chad Shanks, because I don't know what he's doing right now, but I really want his I haven't heard from him in a while, so I'm hoping he got himself another job because
he does.
That'd be great to get
I'm sure
him
he did. Like I remember like a week after the fact, somebody hired him to run their account. I think it was like Jimmy Kimmel or something like that.
It was like an ESPN show or something.
Yeah, it was Dan Lebitard.
Yeah,
who hired him to run his account during the playoffs or something.
Yeah,
so I'm sure he's doing fine.
Well, there was a lot of things like we had JJ Lane from The Bachelorette on the show. A couple of I don't know why I always laugh.
It's awesome.
I always laugh because he's become one of my really good friends, but he's every time I just talk about him, I just start laughing, and I don't know why. Like I was talking about him on Chris Yandle's podcast too, and I just started dying of laughter. And Chris is kind of like, "Peter, are you okay? Like, why are you laughing? Like, what's up with JJ?" But like, JJ is a big hockey fan, and JJ is a big pop culture guy. And there was a time where he was one of the most like active guys on the show, tweeting all the time and being very edgy too. Like him and Clint Arliss, who was also on the show, they have their Villains Got a Vill, little shtick going on. And they like Huffington Post got JJ to run their Snapchat for a night. And he was like, yeah, I could maybe make a living doing this, right? But like, I don't think anything happened after that. But it just reminded me of like, the Dan Lebitard thing with Chad Shanks, Pete, that you mentioned. Like it just, like there are these moments where the LA Kings used to do that with some comedians, but that didn't work out well too because they were tweeting out some pretty crazy stuff as well. They used to like give it was like a Twitter takeover type things.
Yeah, one of my favorite things about Twitter is just seeing like the random people, like the random celebrities that are super into sports or super into other stuff. Yeah. Like it's like sometimes it's just like, what the heck? I remember like it was like a year ago and I wrote some hockey piece for the site that I was working for back then, and it was a very, very small site. And I was like, nobody reads this. And then I was on Twitter one day, like shortly after that, and Freddie Prinze Jr. replied to me and was like, "Just read your piece," and like made a comment about it. And I was like, "What the hell? Are you still alive?" I was like, first of all, Freddie Prinze Jr. is alive. Second of all, he's reading my stuff from a very small sports blog, and third of all, he's a big hockey fan apparently. So I was like, oh, that's kind of cool.
Well, we had at the QMJ show, we'll have those once in a while. So like Jay Baruchel, he follows
he's a huge
us,
hockey guy.
And once in a while we'll have a big retweet from someone that I'll have to look like. when Bobby Mack retweets their stuff from TSN, Bob McKenzie, Pete, it's like my phone dies. Like if I don't have it charged, like just like like all these like retweets come at it because he has like 1 million followers, and that's gonna happen. But you know, you'll see that, for example, a player on an MLS soccer player, I think on Colorado, just followed us. And, you know, like, I don't think he was like one of their big stars, but I thought that was pretty cool, right? You know, once in a while, you'll get those followers. Like, JJ followed the QMJHL, and I was like, Bachelorette, that's pretty cool. You'll get those. I'm sure, you know, Brian and Courtney, you'll get those a lot. Do you ever take that? Because that's interesting that Pete brought that up. Do you guys ever say, like, wow, that person followed? That's awesome. Does that ever happen? Or, like, is that, like, the fan aspect of it gets like thrown out the window once you work
I think it definitely happens. I still need to get a good grasp on, you know, everything. I'm like, who exactly is totally interacting with us all the time. But one of the biggest, Rich Eisen, who's a Michigan alum, he comes out every Saturday and says probably a number of tweets about you know, tweeting at our accounts and about Michigan football. So it's always kind of fun to play off him a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, there are I'm like trying to think of one that stands out. I think it is always interesting anytime Ohio State actually, their players, especially Cardale, he's very active and funny and entertaining on Twitter. So anytime he says anything about the Cavs or we have a lot of rappers that really like the Cavs and things like that. So it's definitely a diverse group. But yeah, we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I had no idea, but Big Sean, who's from Detroit, yeah, I guess he's a big Michigan fan. Coach Harbaugh invited him out to our last game here a couple weeks ago against Rutgers. I saw him down on the sideline of the field. He went to the locker room after the game. And it's guys like that who you wouldn't really expect to be, you know, maybe even sports fans, but here he is rooting on Go Blue. It's kind of cool.
Are there ever situations where you're like on the field, Brian, and you're like, oh, Big Sean, oh, look, you know, like one of the wide receivers, come here quickly, bring him over, take a selfie and tweet it? Because like that could happen, right?
Yeah, so I'm usually up in the press box during the game. I sneak down to the field for the last few minutes just to kind of get some on-field content. But we have a guy, one of the guys on our athletic communications team who's kind of hanging down on the field doing some stuff. He takes over the Snapchat account for a couple you know, when he can during the day. So Big Sean, he gave Big Sean his phone and he did like a little 10-second, you know, so Big Sean held the phone and did a little, you know, what's up guys, Go Blue, and showed what was going on. I mean, that was just gold. So many screenshots, and it's pretty cool.
That could have been cool for Instagram too, right? Especially if it was like a 10-second video, because 10-second videos and Instagram are like a thing. Like they took over Vine, I find. Like they're popular. Those like 15-second Instagram videos.
Yeah.
Like
I think 15-second, 30-second videos, that kind of storytelling is really gonna catch on. At Clemson, I don't know if you follow them. I don't know if any of you guys follow.
Yeah.
They're killing it this year on their football. Jonathan Gant, who's their director of media, they've been killing it on Vines. Just the 6-second, they put together quality video, throw in like Drake background music, slow motion video, and it's just killing it. It's really good stuff. I think that is killer storytelling on video, and I think that will just continue to get more and more popular.
Agreed. I keep trying to figure out, I'm like, do they have permission to use this music? Or like maybe the artist...
I keep thinking that too. I'm not... No comment. I don't know.
Yeah. Like, these are the things I have to worry about just in pro sports. Yeah. Maybe collegiate doesn't.
We do too. We're not really posting anything with, you know, we have to make sure with our video people that they've got the music license for all that stuff that we can release it. So
yeah.
See, this is like why I don't want to work for like a official organization. Like this handcuffs my creativity. Like one of the best tweets, one of the best vines I've ever made was I do like a ton of music vines and try to like match it up with sports video. One of the best ones that I ever did was Taylor Swift and Milan Lucic, and I like synced them up when Milan Lucic was on the bench, and like he was like perfectly head bobbing his.
That was yours?
Yeah, that was me.
No way!
Yeah. So
that
went
viral, man.
Yeah, so that one was pretty good, and like I'm sure I would have got sued if I was working for the Bruins.
Yeah, I remember when I worked for the Indians, there was a time that the players, they were dancing to the wobble back when that was a thing, and I just simply retweeted someone that took a Vine of it that was hilarious, and like that was, not a good idea. I didn't get for it, but
I don't see. I get afraid, like especially NHL teams, that they gotta chill out with these GIFs. Like they're using GIFs from like big shows and everything. And like Pat Donahue for the LA Kings was on the show a couple of weeks back, and he says like once copyright gets in like full effect, they're in trouble. Like they're like, because Pete, you can agree with me. There are a lot of NHL teams that use like GIFs like way too much. It's always the same GIFs. Do you ever find that too, Pete? Like they're using the same GIFs, the same shows, Family Guy GIF.
Yeah, I mean, I think
GIF.
I think it's like a product of seeing that it's worked well for a lot of people on like hockey Twitter and stuff like that, and just on Twitter in general. Like that's how I built a pretty big portion of my following, is just from making GIFs and posting GIFs.
Yeah, but I've been following you for a while. Your GIFs too. You change it up. It's not always family.
Well, yeah, it's like they're trying to capitalize on something that's popular, and I think a lot of it has to do with creativity. And I think sometimes you have people running these big accounts, and they're trying to capitalize on something that's popular, but they just don't have the creativity to make it work.
Yeah,
that's something that happens, and it's also a product of you're running an organization's official account, and you kind of have to keep it like PG and just keep it like fun and not like a lot of the GIFs that are posted, or some of the ones that are funny are just ones that are like also kind of inappropriate, or kind of like it's something that you couldn't post to a team's official account.
I saw a really good GIF from Rachel Schwartz, does the social media for the New York Islanders. She posted a GIF of like, do you guys remember the show Rocket Power on Nickelodeon? Yeah. She posted a GIF like, so Boychuk scored for the Islanders, so she posted like the wiggity 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 GIF. Like I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And, like cool. I want to see that. I want to see kind of the not the ones that you're gonna think of right away. Like The Office is used. Like I love The Office, it's one of my favorite shows. But like I see Office GIFs in sports used way too much.
Yeah, there are certain GIFs that are used as like reactionary, and like
it's always the same ones.
Very tired at this point. So you kind of gotta
keep Taylor Swift at award shows is always used for stuff.
What I think teams
all the time
should start doing is taking GIFs of their own video reels, and like, so if
that's what we do.
Like if it's coach like use that as a reaction instead of some.
You have like limited resources when you're running these teams. Like you have the players at your disposal, and you have the cameras, you have the resources. You can make this happen. You can make your own GIFs and make them awesome.
I wish we had someone just to make them for us. That
well,
right here.
Yeah, I have to do it. But you're right. We do a lot, especially. Oops, sorry.
Yeah. No, continue.
Especially the guys on our bench, like they have great bench reactions. Sometimes that's hard to find that video because of the way we cut our video. But like we're like, oh, do you remember exactly when that was? That moment happened. Which dunk was it in reaction to? And then what's awesome now is that now when we cut those GIFs, we can GIFs, you can upload them.
Hard G, come on.
Hard G.
The GIFs.
The creator said it's GIF, so that's why I'm GIF. But
I wish I could redact the prop that I gave to you earlier now.
No. But no, we can upload it into our emoji keyboard, and fans can have it like right away after we cut it. It's awesome.
I saw last night.
You make GIFs?
Yeah.
Wait,
what?
No, Pete. Sorry, Pete. You make GIFs, right? You said.
I do, yeah.
Okay, but continue what you said. Yeah.
I saw last night that this cool new thing that the Pittsburgh Penguins account is doing. It's like after the game is over. They post like a GIF with their game recap, and it's basically like it has a scoreboard and it actually has like sliding photos from the game, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Shout out to Andy
Seahawks actually do that too a few weeks ago, and I thought that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it definitely grabs your attention more than a still image. So,
and I think Yandel has said this, like, don't just GIF to GIF.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like a lot of people are, you know, they do these. First, I'm talking a lot of. I'm in football mode, and it grabs your attention. You know, if that's the goal, that's fine. It doesn't really. I don't know.
There's not a ton of.
You could have a graphic that says first down.
Yeah.
If you go
that's what I was saying, though. You know, like I'm not trying to say that, you know, Family Guy or Office gifs aren't funny, but there's so much, like, there's so many different things that you could do. But then again, you know, maybe not that many people will, like Pete said, maybe not that many people will know Rocket Power compared to Family Guy, right? Because you have to think of like a whole. But yeah, no, I think very soon we're gonna unfortunately have to wrap up this episode of Popternative. But very quickly, do you want to maybe go around and say your closing remarks and give us one Twitter account, not a team or organization, like a personal account, like someone like us, you know, a prosumer that you think is like who generates good tweets or good content that people should follow. We've been doing this for about 4 episodes now. We've been getting a good variety of different answers. So we'll see. Let's see if, you know, the ones you bring up were brought up in previous episodes. So Pete, anyone come to mind?
Oh man, I was hoping that you wouldn't pick me first. That's so much pressure now.
Does anyone else have theirs right away?
I can go.
Courtney?
So I think this guy is absolutely hilarious, and I've interacted with him both on my personal account and the Cavs account. PFT commenter. Has anyone mentioned him yet?
Oh yeah.
He's hilarious.
He's amazing.
Hilarious. So funny. Everything he writes, everything he tweets, and I'm like, I wish I could say these things. I really can't, but it's amazing. Must follow, in my opinion.
It's great when people take him seriously, like who like aren't familiar with him, because like he works with irony and like satire, and it's when people think that he's serious, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, I see when other people I follow that reply to him, like, why are you always spelling everything incorrectly? Come on. Ugh. It is great.
Brian, do you have one?
I probably have someone who has probably been mentioned on this podcast, War Jess Eagle.
Every episode she's mentioned.
Every episode. Jessica Smith, the queen, I feel like I would say, of social media and sports, always providing on Twitter amazing tips from what other teams in a variety of leagues and are doing, and recapping them in her blog, and pretty nice resource for us when I don't have the time to go look at everyone else, what they're all doing.
Yeah, she updates for sure. She's good at updates.
Yeah, she's always on it.
She works at Under Armour, doesn't she?
She now works at Under Armour, yeah.
I've been wanting to have her on the show for a while, but can't seem to.
I get her.
She's a tough get, I'm sure.
Yeah, she doesn't even favorite my tweets. Like once in a while, I'll have I'll tweet at people like, would love to have you on, you know, Popternative, and you get they favorite it, and like never hear from them at all. Oh. So that's because that's what I do a lot too. I'm not afraid of being like, you know what? I see your tweets. Like,
sure.
I did it with Pete. Pete, come on the show. He's like, would love to. It happened. You know what I mean? So it's just like, that's kind of my advice too. Don't be afraid to, you know, ask and tweet out, and like use social media as that tool of like asking people, you know, for you know, follows or like retweets. We do that all the time, and people ask me for stuff all the time with QMJHL. I'm always gonna, like, to an extent, unless it's, you know, offensive or anything. If anyone needs a retweet from my personal or from some of the hockey accounts I run, I will be there for them. And I think that's important. That's why I want to do Popternative. I'm creating a network.
Absolutely.
Love it.
Pete, do you have your person now, or?
Yeah, I mean, like, I guess first of all, my favorite account on Twitter, like in general, is the Seinfeld 2K.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody follows that.
Yeah. Killer.
Not
modern day Seinfeld is another one. Not
modern Seinfeld.
Okay.
Seinfeld 2K, I think it is, or it's Seinfeld 2000, which is like basically it's like I think I don't know if it came before or after modern Seinfeld, but it's basically like a bunch of Photoshops and jokes with Seinfeld if it was on today. So that's my favorite account on Twitter. But my favorite sports account, I have a ton, but probably the one that comes to mind is Dave Lozo, and he used to write for Bleacher Report, was their NHL writer. He doesn't work there anymore, and I think he's unemployed now, but he's got a lot more time to tweet about sports. So he's stepped his game up recently, and he's one of my favorite follows, if I had to name somebody.
Really cool. So before we go, anything at Uprocks we need to know about or about you? Any closing remarks?
No, I mean, just visit Uprock Sports, or just uprocks.com. We have tons of stuff, and I was a big fan of the site before I even joined there, and was a longtime reader, and now it's even better because I'm there. So it's great. Yeah.
Courtney, what about you? Anything with the Cavs we should keep an eye on, or?
Yeah, just make sure you're following. We have our first Hardwood Classics game tomorrow, so we're gonna have a ton of fun content tomorrow.
I'm gonna follow.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tweet some stuff. So hopefully there's. That happens.
I'll look for it. I see everything.
I didn't really think about it until just now, but I'm wearing a Celtics shirt, so I feel kind of.
That's okay.
Brian, what about you?
Yeah, we have a UMich Athletics, our overall athletics accounts.
Yep.
UMich football.
My goal is to get one follow out of the 31 accounts before 2016 for the Michigan U. That's one of my goals.
We'll see about that.
There's 31, so I think my odds are in my favor, but I don't know.
We'll have to, you have to be somehow related to Michigan, doing some kind of thing.
I'm totally joking. I don't.
No,
I'm not.
I know.
Oh, okay, yeah, but yeah, continue.
Yeah, we got our UMich football account, and then our UMich b-ball. For you hockey guys, UMich hockey as well.
Yeah,
and that's just I could go on for another hour.
I still can't get over the amount of followers on that football account. It's crazy. It's like 350,000.
Yeah, I think we
like one sport, 350,000. And Courtney, you guys are really close. Like
you're like probably more than that. I mean,
Courtney,
we're almost to 1 million on Twitter, almost to 2 million on Instagram. Facebook's over, I think it's 4 million. Yeah.
It amazes me like the how high a lot of the Instagram numbers are.
Yeah.
My dog has 89,000 followers on Instagram. Little Leo the Morky. Dyson sent him a vacuum, like as an endorsement. Yeah. So it's true. Instagram's huge these days.
It is. It's our fastest growing platform, actually.
Well, very quickly, I mentioned JJ on the show, so just Pete, to say what you said, it just makes sense. So on Twitter, he has 43,000 followers. On Instagram, he just broke 150,000. So there's,
He was on what? The Bachelorette, The Bachelor?
Bachelorette and Bachelor in Paradise, too.
Yeah, so I mean, like, obviously he's probably I don't know who this is, but he's probably a good-looking dude. So, like, having, like, a spiked Instagram number makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like so many more kids now. And my sister is a senior at TCU. Every time I visit her, she's like my little social media experiment.
That's him, Pete, if you could see.
Yeah, I mean, like, that makes
sense. Every time I hang out with my little sister, she's just like, I ask her, what is she? She has a Twitter account, of course. She hasn't tweeted in a year. She's all about Instagram and all about Snapchat. And that's all she opens up. Facebook, she'll, people say Facebook is dead. The amount of people that are on Facebook is insane, which is still valid to putting out all that content. But for the kids,
Instagram, Snapchat.
For sure. Well, thank you all for coming on the show tonight. I really appreciate it, and good luck with everything you guys have going on. I understand all three of you are really busy people, so to take the time out of your schedules to come on the show, I really, really appreciate it. So thank you very much. This has been Popternative. Thank you all for tuning in. For past episodes, you can go on our YouTube and SoundCloud pages at Popternative. You can like us on Facebook at Popternative. And next week is a special where we are having not one but 2 episodes of Popternative on the Wednesday and Thursday. So look.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.